Welcome back to Archetypical. Past episodes, we've focused much more on our analytics insights practice, and I want to switch gears and move over to our performance management team and specifically talk OneStream. So today I have one of our resident OneStream experts in Mr. John Morehead with me for y'all to get introduced to him, as well as get introduced to overall kind of CPM world and OneStream. So why don't you start with kind of an introduction of yourself, John, and kind of in general how you got into this CPM space?
Yeah, absolutely. John Morehead. I'm a senior director here at Archetype. I'm the head of our OneStream Center of Excellence, which means that I have responsibility of overseeing the architecture of pretty much all of our OneStream projects, as well as enabling the team with best practices and the newest advances in the best way to achieve what our clients need. I've been doing what we call EPM, CPM, depending on what vendor you ask, consulting, or what I often refer to as corporate finance consulting, for about 10 years now. The first little bit less than half of that, a little bit more than half, excuse me, I spent in mostly the Oracle world, but I also had experience with about a good year with Anaplan and touched on some other ones like Planful and Adaptive a little bit. And then for about the past almost 4.5 years, I've been pretty much exclusively doing OneStream. And that's been a real blast personally for me. I really love it. It's been the tool that is, really gotten me most excited. When I first joined this world, learned about multidimensional databases and Essbase originally back in the day, I was so excited at the possibilities of what it offered. Just the ability to do this analytical math and more easily access this data was super exciting. But it wasn't too long before I started to hit the walls of what I couldn't do and kind of got frustrated. And it's one of the things I love about OneStream is I never have to say no. It's capable of basically anything we want it to do. The question is always just should we do this? Is it really the right thing for the client to do this? Is it the right process? Is it the right investment of time and resources? Does it have a good enough ROI to be worth it? So that's exciting to me for sure. So yeah, that's kind of in brief how I got here.
Love it. I'm curious, kind of looking back at your career and how you got into this space. Is there anything you would have changed or even preferred of the different career path to get to where you are?
Well, it's funny you say that because I spent since I was probably about 12, I thought I was going to be a computer programmer or a computer engineer. I fell in love with computers around the age of 12. When we got our first PC at home, I started messing around and tinkering and learning programming and building my own computer. I'm a super geek kind of in that way. I actually built a homemade water-cooled system way before they were cool with a RIT car radio, a little radiators, car radiators that I bought and like handmade everything. And I went to college for that. And midway through I decided to go more programming, and then midway through my internship between my junior and senior year, I realized that I probably didn't want to do computer programming and had a little bit of an existential crisis. Actually, it ended up working for Microsoft out of college because they offered me a job, and I was like, well, I'll give this one more shot. Like if Microsoft offers you a job, I should try it out. Like they're the real deal, right? And it just wasn't for me. I really have always loved programming and problem solving and using technology to do cool stuff. But I realized that software engineering just wasn't it's a whole thing. It's a whole world of processes and things that just I had, until I got in and started doing it, I realized I didn't like. And so I actually kind of wandered around for a while trying to figure out what I was going to do. And when I landed, like I said, I first discovered Essbase and realized what I could do with it. It was super exciting. And I really haven't looked back since. And also, I turned down my very first job offer in this space because I said, I don't want to do finance stuff and accounting. Like that sounds awful. Numbers and it seems soulless or whatever. And I was shortly after convinced to give it another shot by a college friend of mine who was in the space. Was like, I really think you'll like it. Like I know you and I know this stuff. Like I really think you should give it a chance. So I ended up interviewing with another person and actually really liked that person a lot. Got along really well. So I ended up coming in, and I found it to be an incredibly rewarding career. It's not anything. It's not the soulless number crunching that I thought it would be. It's helping people do their job better. And in particular in finance, oftentimes people are working, way more than 40 hours in a week to meet the demands of the corporation. And when you can help them do it better, that oftentimes means getting more time in their life back and having a better quality of life. And that feels really good when you leave a client and you feel like, I'm really leaving this place better than I found it. And it's been really, really, really rewarding. So no, I really, I don't think I would want to do anything else. I think it took me a while to find this in the beginning, but it's really fit me well.
Love it. Do you feel like your programming background that you at least started with, as much as it wasn't your passion in the ultimate end, do you feel like that has been fruitful in kind of becoming the expert that you are in this space?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So it's undeniably one of the reasons I do love OneStream, because as much as I knew that software development wasn't a thing, I've always liked programming, and like I said, using technology to help do things, and programming is kind of the most the most controlled way to do that. I mean, you can do cool stuff with Excel and formulas and stuff, but like when you could program, like you can really get into the nitty gritty and do a really powerful stuff. And OneStream is a Microsoft-based solution, living in the Microsoft ecosystem. I spent a lot of time in that world. And now, and one of the things I love about OneStream is it is a platform that gives you the ability to run your own code almost anywhere in the system. Like almost anywhere in the system, you can put your own special stuff if you need it. And most clients don't need lots of it, or some clients don't even really need any of it, because there's so much value in the financial intelligence in the system itself. But like I said, you don't ever have to tell a client no. If they have that like one-off thing that's like really important to them, I can't go, well, I know I can give you 95% of what you want, but I can't give you that last five. It's like, no, I can do that last five, and we can do cool stuff. And so the ability to do that, it really got me excited, and that led to me really diving into the system and really learning everything I could about it, which I think has really benefited. Yeah, I mean my own career and the team too. I like to think it's one of the reasons that I was excited to take the role as the head of our Center of Excellence, is I love spreading this knowledge too and helping people understand what they can do. As much as I like doing it myself, I feel like if I can leverage my knowledge and help so many more people accomplish stuff, then that's even cooler.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, to take a step back slightly from obviously your career, but for those people that don't know, what is OneStream?
Yeah, so OneStream, I kind of said a little bit, it's a financial intelligence system, right? And at the core of that is a multidimensional database, or a cube, if you will, that allows for effectively the loading, calculating, and analyzing financial data. And one of the cool things about OneStream is that not only do they have the cube, but they have relational tables that allow for blending of data that more naturally lives in a relational stage, which allows us to blend kind of the operational metrics with financial data to really get that great insight. Because at the end of the day, we measure company health financially, right? I mean, if you're in a business and you're losing millions of dollars a day, you can't keep that up for too long, right? You can only bleed so long before you run out of blood. And so, we need to be able to kind of keep track of the health of the company, both where we've been, where we are exactly right now, and where we're going. And that's really what OneStream allows you to do, is efficiently manage those processes. And so it's built from the ground up with an understanding of what are the core tasks of the office of the CFO, right, of the accounting team, and of the controls in the company, and the finance, the FP&A team, to accomplish those common goals, right? Every company, even though everyone does it a little bit differently, they're all trying to achieve the same common goals of, again, where have we been, where are we now, where are we going, and understanding, particularly in there's basically two standards. In the U.S. it's GAAP, and in internationally it's IFRS, for how we account and report our numbers and understand really where we've been. And then from a planning side, there's a little more creativity involved, a little bit more wide open, because every specific business, even in the same industry, might look at their business or think about their business slightly differently. And so how we think about our business is often how we plan our business. But again, that's where the beauty and the flexibility of OneStream is. We have the ability to kind of take care of these relatively rigid actuals numbers, again, the where were we and where are we now, but it also has the flexibility to allow for the creativity of where are we going, where we want to go, and how can we get there. So again, it's a multidimensional system. with a bunch of financial intelligence built right into the tool. There's a ton of value, again, just in that base platform, but it's also a wide open platform that allows you to do just about anything you need.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect way of putting it. I know on OneStream's website, I love their kind of one line of unify. I think it's unifying finance processes. It's kind of their line of OneStream in general. And now your focus is primarily in the planning, budgeting, and forecasting side for us here at Archetype, right? Or
yeah, well, that's where my prior experience is from. I actually graduated college with a finance and economics degree, and I have more interest in kind of that planning, which was called the FP&A side, the planning side. I have a little bit of accounting knowledge, just enough to be dangerous, but I'm not an accounting or CPA by trade. But I spent some time, working in finance, in the corporate finance, again, not investing finance. It's another thing we often get asked is, oh, you work in finance, so you know all about investing. It's like, no. we're talking about, planning and budgeting, financial operations of a company. And but yeah, that's where I've mostly lived, and part of that is that's just my favorite. I enjoy that kind of challenge and creativity of trying to understand a business and model it, and for planning. And to be honest, I'm not detail oriented enough to be an accountant. So again, I understand, but that's why I've spent most of my side on the FP&A, most of my time on the FP&A side. But again, having joined the OneStream community now, you can't help but learn the close consolidation accounting side. You have to really understand that at least a little bit to really call yourself a OneStream consultant. So I've definitely have gotten a lot better at that over the past few years. But yeah, I would say more on the planning side. It's certainly where my heart lives.
I've had conversations with a lot of OneStream folks over the years, and I've always found it funny that a lot of the close and consolidations folks usually jokingly say that on the FP&A side, you're just making up numbers. They just get to make it up.
Yes. There's definitely camps, right? And people who are accountants, they're like, no, these are the numbers, these exist. You can find every last detail, we can structure it. And thank God there's people like that, because without it, we'd be in a chaotic world. No one would know where they're at. But yeah, it's, the thing about FP&A is you are a little bit thumb to the wind. So there could be a little more like, 2% margin of error is reasonable. We can deal with that, I remember talking to the Salesforce.com finance team, actually, and they're like, every month we land within 5% of budget, and meaning like every month their actual spend and revenues within 5% of what they planned for that month, the previous month. And that's pretty dang impressive. Like, that's an impressive stat. Not many people land with that accuracy. But yeah, even 10% is like, that's good enough, and accountants are like, no, 10% of $10 billion is an amazing amount of money we can't lose. And, it's definitely a different world, but they're both necessary.
Yeah, it seems like there's more of almost like an art on the planning side of of forecasting that way, but it's always interesting to see.
For sure.
Curious on overall, how are you seeing OneStream as the best in breed for CPM solutions or platforms right now?
Yeah, well, some of it I already kind of talked about, which is just being the platform, right, where it's just got the wide open capabilities. And no other system could do the breadth of what OneStream can do. There's plenty of great planning tools out there that'll do great little spot planning for you. And again, particularly if you want to just write Excel-like functions that, sum ifs and add this up and kind of go look this, VLOOKUP, go look this up, and add some dimensionality around it. There's some planning products out there that are pretty good. But first of all, I don't think anything could possibly compete on the consolidation side. Like, I think that market is fallen way behind. Once you originally started they started just saying, we're going to solve consolidations first, because it's really technically the harder problem to solve. Being able to do intercompany eliminations and currency translation adjustments and, minority ownership and joint venture stuff. Like, there's a lot of financial intelligence that's really specific and complex. And so they really wanted to solve that first, particularly in a cube-based world, because you want that cube, that multidimensional database, for analytical purposes. It makes drilling through slicing and dicing super easy, but it does present a challenge to those specific financial operations involved in close, which is why you see plenty of multidimensional competitors on the planning side, but almost no multidimensional competitors on the consolidation side.
Right.
Basically, the only competitors on the consolidation side are ERP systems that do relational-based consolidations, which gives you the consolidated numbers. You get to a consolidated like net income, but they're not nearly as good for analytics, right? To take that number and then drill back in isn't as useful. So, if I want to report to the street, great, I can do that out of my ERP. But if my board then asks me, okay, well, why did this happen? Now it's a lot, I don't have that tool that consolidated is not the tool for me to investigate. But OneStream is the tool that allows you to consolidate and analyze with that multidimensional cube. So they really solved that problem first and solved it amazingly, and they just left everyone in the dust with consolidations. So for people who are doing planning only, that's where we see a lot more competition out there, where OneStream is in a heat, whereas with consolidations, again, there's pretty much just they've won. If you're able to do a consolidation system, you're probably picking OneStream if you're doing a true consolidation system. Otherwise, again, you're probably just doing it in your ERP that you already own. But with planning, we see competes. But again, you just don't. There's obviously no system that could do both, because OneStream is the only one that does consolidations well. So if you need both, again, OneStream just is light years ahead of the competition. And even on the planning side, where you can say it's more competitive, OneStream has really turned their eye towards that now that they solved that consolidation issue a few years ago. Really kind of put the cap on it, and man, they're making some great strides, and it was good enough. It was good. You could do great planning, but the things that they're enabling now on the planning side, again, just make it, I think, light years ahead. The ability to blend the relational database, again, relational data with the cube data is something that no other system can do. It's just not that I'm aware of, at least. The ability to generate a user interface that is exactly what the users need. Again, you just can't do it in a data system. You got to use theirs. They have a way of doing it. There's their dashboarding and there's their widgets, and there's maybe plenty of flexibility there. And again, it may be able to accomplish your goals, but there's still bounds. There's still many hard bounds that your walls are going to hit. Whereas with OneStream, you just the world's your oyster, so to speak. You can do what you need and what you want. One of my favorite examples of that was a client we did back in 2019, where a pharmaceutical research company that had their actual scientist department owners put in their budget, which is great. Big fan of distributed budgeting. The budget owners, people you're going to hold accountable, should be putting those numbers in. But scientists don't particularly like to think too much about their budget numbers. They just want to, if you just give them the money they need when they ask, they'd be super happy. They don't want to tell you what they're going to spend. They just want to, investigate and spend the money. And so they don't think that way, right? It's not their world. But we actually were able to develop a system that walked them through the budgeting process. And a couple of scientists, everyone came back and said that was easy to use. We really liked it. It was there was no grumblings of, oh, this is terrible, I hated it. You couldn't do what I needed to do. Everyone was at least satisfied. And a couple of people said they even had fun doing it. And to me, that was a high compliment, that people who just don't want to do something actually enjoyed doing it. So I would not have been able to do that with any other system.
Yeah, and I feel like we've had a lot of people here at Archetype who have moved over from doing consulting for other EPM or CPM products, including yourself, with like you did some with Anaplan, you mentioned, then you were with Oracle, and now you're with OneStream. And I think it's valuable to look at that. We focus on solving business problems for clients, and the fact that consultants are making that shift over to OneStream as like the solution that they're implementing the most now, or being so tied to, is showing how much OneStream is just leaps and bounds ahead of the competition in so many ways.
Yeah, I early on in my consulting career, I had a lot of interest in learning about other technologies and not just doing one at a time, because I always thought that, I want to be able to give the customer a really, really fair and balanced view and talk about, the right tool for the right job, because that's what the way the market was back then. It's like, man, if you had a specific need, here's the best tool to fit your need. And to be able to really have that tool belt with all those different tools on it, I thought it was important I wanted to do it kind of me personally, but I specifically thought, a company really should have the financial experts that that can hopefully swing between tools and again use that right tool to solve the right problem. And I still like keeping up a little bit with the market, but what I found is that I just honestly I got a Swiss Army knife now with OneStream. I don't need other tools in my tool belt. I got a maybe better said a Mary Poppins bag full of tools. Is what OneStream is, right? I could just reach in and pull out what I need and do it, even if it didn't exist in there a few minutes ago. I don't have to go back and get something else. So yeah, it really has stuck out, and that's why we've continued to really just choose that one tool, is that we can do so much with it, and there's no need to be well versed enough to implement other tools.
I'm curious, what excites you the most of kind of the future for OneStream?
Oh man, they're really working hard on the browser UX, user experience. They're browser based, like client, and I'm very excited to see where that goes, because up till now it's all been a hard coded interface, and again, I love that. I love what you can do with it, but web interfaces, I think, offer a lot of great flexibility as well, and I'm really excited to see where that goes, and all the cool things that you can do. And one interesting thing to note is that if anyone has ever been out on the XF marketplace, which is where you get the software and access the marketplace for other solutions that you can put in the software, that's all built in the browser UX now. So you can actually access it through the web. You don't have to launch into the OneStream app, because it is actually built in OneStream. Their marketplace is a OneStream application, which is always cool. You'd log into the OneStream application to download OneStream for you, right, and install it on yourself. And it still is that, but now you access it through the web. So that's one thing I'm particularly excited about. On a more nerdy, geeky note, for personally, they're continuing to expand the possibilities for us backend developers to do even more, and that's really cool to see and to be part of. We were part of the inaugural Wave conference back in the fall last year, and it was really fun to get to talk to a lot of the OneStream people there. And out of that, the last thing I'd say is they're working on a graphical programming language, a graphical builder for scripts, so that people who really, really, really don't want to touch code can still write much of the same things that we coders can write, right? So really, really trying to fully enable and fully dispel the myth that you have to know how to code to do OneStream, right? I mean, I still think that's a myth now, but that's one of the cool things that's coming down the pipe, that I'm really excited about too.
Yeah, it seems like they continue to have a passion for innovation, which I think is by far one of the most valuable things for any company like this. The reality is their growth and the way they've really just set themselves apart was initially their innovation in the space. And too often, I mean, we've all seen it with a lot of these technology and software companies that eventually innovation gets thrown out the window usually, and that's not happening with OneStream. Like, they're continuing to innovate and find ways to innovate. I know even with their kind of desire to get into the data science, AI, and machine learning space with their extensible ML, and we've obviously had Marty and Ken on here on Archetypical, and they've actually been partnering with Marty and Ken on trying to build that out in full fashion and ask kind of our data scientists some key questions as well. So I love it. I love that they're continuing to innovate in those ways. So last question I'll have, I mean, this is your last chance. We got a prospect listening to this. They want to learn more about OneStream. They're needing to make a decision on the future of CPM at their organization. Why OneStream, and then why Archetype to implement it?
Yeah, well, man, I feel like if I haven't made a strong enough case for OneStream,
I know, I was going to say.
Probably lost them already. I mean, again, I just don't think you're going to find a tool that's going to be able to meet your needs now and in the future. Again, we've seen, well, we've been in it long enough now where we've seen some early competes where they chose a competitive software and have now come around and chose OneStream because the growth of the organization, they just outgrew that tool. And we're doing more and more replacements of other competitor software than we ever have before. So again, I just don't think there's a tool out there that's going to grow with your company and be the tool that you can use in the long term for anything you need, from close consolidations, account recs, planning, forecasting, long-term planning, strategic planning. I mean, we built a revenue recognition system for one customer to help streamline their close process. Analytics, some BI work. I mean, we obviously have a very talented team full of other tools and stuff on BI, but we still do some BI and mini data warehousing, so to speak, of operational data right in OneStream. So it's just such a capable platform. It's able to do so much and help you now and in the future. I just don't think there's any other option. And as for Archetype, I mean, there's a lot of competitors out there who are very talented. I don't want to take too much away from them, but I just don't think you're going to find a place with the same culture and teamwork that we have, where again, you're not just getting the 1 or 2 or 5 consultants, whatever it is, on your team that are helping with the implementation. You're getting the entire Archetype team backing that up and helping make your project a success, right? And you're joining an organization where we're really dedicated to customer success, and everyone on the team wants to make sure that every project's a success. We're all, I'm usually involved in every project almost a little bit directly, but pretty much the entire team is aware of all the projects that are going on. And, particularly the senior people are always kind of making sure that all the projects are going like they need to. And if we need to bring someone else in to help, pinch hit a little bit, and hey, they really need this one specific thing. I know you did that over the other client. Do you mind coming over here and helping real quick? It's not a problem, right? And I just don't think you're going to find a company that has that same culture and that same commitment to customer success.
Love it. That was perfect. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We're going to do many, many more of these, I hope, and hopefully in person at some point. I'll come down to Texas there, and we can.
There you go.
Film these.
Well, we could do one with Ricardo and me at the same time.
Exactly.
And maybe even Marty, who was. It's funny. We live in San Antonio, and there was three Archetype employees in San Antonio. We all just by total happenstance live within 2 miles of each other. So, it's easy to come in.
No, I'm in. We'll fly down. We're going to make that happen. So
sounds good.
Well, again, appreciate you hopping on, and everybody, thanks for listening, and tune in next time for our next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining and staying all the way to the end. Talk to you soon.